and welcome to Dead Formats, a movie podcast that's all about groping around in the overhead compartment of cinema in search for the types of films that just aren't being made anymore. I'm your host, Chris, and this episode we're going to be discussing Groper's Sucking Train from 1983. And this week, a couple of very special guests just rolled into the station. Dakota, Chris, welcome. How are you doing this evening?
Wow. Thank you for that intro. That was
You're
so
very
great.
welcome.
Yes, we just got off the train
It's a
and
bumpy ride.
it was a bumpy ride to get here. So I think we're good now that we're settled and
Yeah, I'm glad you both made it here seemingly ungroped.
That you know of.
that you know of, because we have a lot to discuss. I would say that.
Yeah. So Dakota and Chris, they are the co-hosts of the wonderful Two in the Pinku podcast. So tell the listeners that may not be familiar with you a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about what you guys do on your show.
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So we have a pink film podcast. We celebrate pink films, so like Japanese softcore movies, anywhere from like the 60s ongoing. I think we haven't covered anything from the 2020s yet, but we've definitely covered the 2000s, like yikes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they all have some kind of softcore sexual content. We've also kind of done some adjacent stuff with like adult video sometimes too. Classy stuff, yeah.
Awesome. So, and because you guys are so well versed in this genre, and I am not, as I told you guys off air, and for other reasons that we'll talk about a little bit later. So this episode's going to be a little bit different from the ones I've done so far. So normally, and it's not like I say this out loud or anything, but it is sort of part of the conceit of the show is that whatever we're discussing on a given week, I'm sort of framed as like the expert on the thing we're talking about, insofar as anyone could really be an expert on the things that we cover on this show. A lot of times there's very little information out there about these films, so I do use the term expert very lightly. I'm just the person in the room that knows the most about the film because I'm the one that's presenting it to my guests, so I try to do my due diligence. And I really thought about whether or not I should really hunker down and study up on pink films. But I decided that in this case, it's probably best to just go in with the little knowledge that I do have and play the audience surrogate, because I think, for one, there's maybe only one person that I know of who listens to the show that really has any experience with pink films. And two, you guys have probably already forgotten more about pink films than I will ever know. So there's no way that I'm going to be on your level after just like a week of researching this topic. So with all of the apologetic hedging out of the way, let me ask you this. Just what the hell is a pink film?
That's funny. Wait, Chris, you could answer.
Oh, so I would say a pink film is you could say it's a softcore film. It's it's not like, what you get with a regular pornographic film. It's very softcore. I would say if you guys, whoever's listening, or especially for you, Chris, you remember Red Shoe Diaries back in the day?
I've heard the name. I'm vaguely aware of what it is.
Yeah, so most of the pink films come from, like, they're different genres from the 70s, 80s, and even early from the 1960s. They all have to do with some kind of melodrama, sexual assault, a sexual awakening. What else, Dakota? There's
a lot of comedies too. It's more tied into like Japanese censorship. So it's like because they can't show genitals too, they're getting more creative. And also like because like they wanted to see sex. Even Japan, like hardcore took a lot longer to like take off, right? Like hardcore really comes in the 80s, which is kind of late. So they kind of missed the whole wave of like even like American hardcore and like the whole 70s too. So like they kept doing this whole like softcore market. And if anything, it got stranger. It's like, what if like Russ Meyer and Doris Wishman got crazier?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I was just going to add to that too. It's like, especially with Japanese like film, even like regular films from the 70s and 80s, they were very experimental, kind of, going off of what Dakota said, censorship and a lot of absurdity. Like some of these sexual scenes are just absurd, absolutely absurd. You can't really you could sit there and say, no, that's not going to happen in real life. or like in a regular,
Hmm.
like, in situation. It's a lot of situational comedy, a lot of assault in some way, uh, unwanted sexual touching and
Yeah.
groping. So, I mean, that's just this film in general. No, I'm just
This
kidding.
one
Right.
was
But
kind
Right.
of consensual.
this was
I was a little
consensual.
surprised.
So that's one of the things is like I'm not well versed in pink film, but I do watch a lot of Japanese genre
Yeah.
cinema.
Ooh.
And one of the things that puts me off to it is kind of what you were just talking about. I'm thinking of a movie like Evil Dead Trap. Like that's a
Yes.
good
Oh,
example
nice.
of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
these scenes that start off non-consensual and then sort of throughout it morph into being consenting, which I don't feel great about that. I'm
Right.
not sure about the message that that's sending. I mean, is that it sounds like you guys have had the same experience watching pink film specifically that that's the case.
Yeah, I think for us, like when we watch it ourselves, we are like, we question it or we laugh at
Hmm.
it. And I think what happens too, we have our friends who tell us like, you're okay seeing like somebody be assaulted. And our answer is no, we're not okay with
Right.
it. But at the same time, we can kind of, what is it? We can take away like what's happening and just kind of disassociate from that actual act and just watch it as a whole movie in
Hmm.
general, and kind of go off to see if it's actually, if it's for the plot or it's just to be like, let's just see how much we can get away with.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's regular films out there that talk about assault in a more normal settings. Not That's not a pink film, and it kind of ties around the whole movie itself. And I'm trying to think of like a good film that does that, or
I
not
like the
necessarily.
shout out Evil Dead Trap
Yeah.
though, because like the director of that directed also one of like the most unhinged like Nikatsu Roman porno films with like Sex
Yes.
Hunter. So I'm like,
Oh,
it's pretty
wow.
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sex Hunter is
Like
just think
Suspiria
area, but like just
I could see
nonstop,
that.
nonstop assault and
and
just
BDSM and
and BDSM
violation and Coca-Cola.
and Coca-Cola. Like I said, Joan Crawford would be happy with this film.
It
No, she's a
sounds.
Pepsi fan.
Oh, I'm sorry, she's Pepsi.
Oh, shit.
Oops. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds 50% awesome and 50% like I might have to pull the shades down and make sure no
Oh,
one can see what I'm watching.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like when we watch these films, we live in an apartment building and sometimes sounds echo outside of our apartment. And then when you walk out, you can hear, we have to keep the volume low because there's a lot of moaning, a lot of
Yes.
screaming, a lot of like, oh, and it's just like, oh my God, what did our neighbors think we're watching? Like probably regular porn or something.
Oh, damn, these guys are freaks over here fucking watching hardcore porn every night.
just again.
Yeah, so it just varies, but sometimes like we just laugh. We have to really turn down the volume when we're watching some of these pink films.
Yeah, for sure. And so the kind of the way you guys described pink film is sort of how I've always understood it. I'm just like,
Hmm.
okay, softcore content from Japan. But I have listening to your show, I get the sense that there is like a more narrow, accurate definition that
Hmm.
I mean, could you guys like enlighten us what that is? Because I get that sense, but I can't pinpoint what exactly it is.
Hmm. Go for it.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm trying to think of like a good analog, like I guess like why we've gotten to pink film. Like we were definitely watching a lot of like Jess Franco stuff before it. I think of like Jess Franco. I mean, Jess Franco actually will show you genitals, but that's probably like the closest I can think of like genre filmmaking. It's like it, where it's like using sexuality, but then it's like kind of limp in a
Hmm.
way. Like
Hmm.
the Japanese stuff, like there's something really strange and like mesmerizing about like even the narratives are abstract, right? Like you're not really having to comprehend too much. I think
Hmm.
when we first started watching these films, like we didn't even know how to like do the auto subs either. So we're like,
Yeah.
woo, you know, hope for the best.
We just went in with a prayer, and it's like, I think this is the movie is about.
Yeah. So like obviously Japan's been putting out erotic content as most countries have for like centuries, but what's the delineation between like where just erotic filmmaking stops and something becomes like a pink film? Or is there one?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not some. I mean, well, I don't know, because like 60s, like okay, there's like American sexploitation, like the nudie
Hmm.
cuties, right? But I always think like Japan has like not only like a slightly shorter pacing, but like a little bit more penchant for violence. Also, like they do stuff in like the softcore market. Like I always wonder, like, how do they get away with like BDSM content?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's very uniquely Japanese.
For sure.
Yeah.
Chris, what would you say?
Yeah, I kind of would agree with that because there's films that are like I would say, for example, like Woman in the Dunes from Japan. I think
Hmm.
that's 1964. So that's kind of like early like before even Pink Film because Pink Film was like a little later. And
Pink
that
Film was
one
62.
oh 62. Okay, so like I would say Woman in the Dunes that's kind of a not a Pink Film in general. It's more of like a melodrama, but there's some sexuality, there's some violence in there a little
Yeah.
bit. Whereas I would say a Pink Film leans more heavily into the sexual violence, like what happens, what it's about. We see it, we're kind of in it. We're not just we see a little bit and then we move on to the genre or the kind of lingering, kind of like in a
Yeah.
normal pacing film. So I would say like Pink Film kind of like dwells into it, the language, kind of the cinematography adds to it, the locations. That's all a part of like you would say it just changes the feeling a little bit. I mean
Gotcha.
also yeah, and then also early Pink Film was very punk. Like
Oh,
it was
wow.
I would say it was more punk than what we get the more mainstream stuff from the 70s and 80s and the bigger like the production from Nikatsu.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I would say that's surprising, but on the other hand, it's like, it really isn't because in America, when I think of softcore, I think just cable TV
Yes.
90s.
Yeah, that's why I
Like,
suggested like Red Shoe Diaries, that kind of
yeah.
stuff. That's very what you would think of just traditional soft
Hmm.
core.
And it is interesting, like Japan had or possibly still has more restrictions on what they can show, but it's like even the very small sample size I have for Pink Films, it's like this is way wilder than what was on Cinemax or HBO
Yes.
at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I
and
think that's
yeah.
relevant to the Groper train too, because like we didn't watch like a crazy one, but like if you
Right.
looked at the rival studio, like you could have gone like time travel, ninjas. They would go even more absurd with the concepts, or even like as it went, like even more like sexual too. Like you'd see vibrators, different stuff. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, the sex is kind of normal in this movie.
Yes. I was very surprised because usually Groper trains are like they go from 1 to 1,000. And then other times they stay at like maybe 50. And then
Yeah.
sometimes they derailed at the first stop and it's just, you don't know what's happening. It's just really boring or it just doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. This one, what we watched last night was just, it was simple. It was like, it was on cruise control.
But
It was,
still, even this one that is like kind of not to spoil anything for later
no,
discussion, but kind of bland, I'll say.
yeah, yeah. No,
Uh
that's what I said. It was just kind of new, like cruise
yeah.
control.
It's like it's still more subversive than
Yes.
like what I remember of those cuz I was a straight boy in the 90s like watching those Cinemax movies,
Hmm.
very like vanilla, straight. You're going to see like boobs and grinding and that's
Hmm.
about it. But
Or,
this is like they don't show much, but what they suggest is, like I said, more subversive.
well, it's like when you see softcore, like, the body parts don't even match up when they're dry humping.
Right.
It's just
Yeah,
like the angles are so
like
bad.
Tommy Wiseau in The Room.
Exactly. Exactly. But I also like when you think of like also when you could throw in like the sex tapes of like Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee,
Hmm.
like we see stuff, but it's so sensationalized because nothing else happens because of, we just know we see because we all have seen that video. We see that one scene
I
and that's
actually
it.
haven't.
You haven't seen it?
Should I?
No, it's kind of boring.
Okay.
Watch it tonight.
No, no, seriously, all you see it's only one real sex scene, a blowjob, the penetration, and then the rest of it they're just like walking around naked and saying, I love you, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's
I
it.
mean, they're not performers. I wouldn't
No,
expect
no,
it to
no.
really be very exciting.
But like as far as like that's kind of like in pink film, we don't see the actual penetration. You see
Hmm.
stuff like, but there's more to it. It's not just being like cutesy. And don't get me wrong, there's some pink film we watch that are just terrible and boring and simulated sex, but you're just saying like, why is this happening?
For sure. And
Yeah.
so for you guys, what was the inciting event that made you say, okay, this is our thing now?
I think Dakota will answer that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, gosh, the first probably Pink film we watched, or I guess like Pink film adjacent, would be Haunted Turkish
Yes.
Bathhouse from Mono Macabro. So like that was kind of a gateway. But instead of like, oh, let's watch more Toei, like Pinky Violence, we're like, oh, let's just watch more Tawny get tied up.
Hmm. Literally, that was what happened. And then when he told me about this, like, oh, this is pink film, whatever. And then I was like, who is this beautiful creature, Naomi Tani? And
Okay.
I was like, who is this? I want to see more.
So not at all trepidatious,
No,
just 100% in it with
yeah,
him.
we just went in and then we saw more Tawny and then watching her and then seeing other films by her kind of started the gate like the floodgates just opened between us. And then we just got more into these films and Dakota found more. So I would say
Mhm.
Dakota is like more of like he started with me and then I just went I just got on the train with him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's the Sherpa and you're
Yeah.
the venture capitalist billionaire paying
Yeah.
him to lead
Yeah, I'm
you
like
up
here,
K2.
yeah, right. I'm just like here, find me some more.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I so one of the things I've been thinking about recently, I don't know if you guys will relate. It's okay if you don't, but as people with these sorts of niche interests, does it ever get a bit alienating? I know, Chris, you've mentioned on your show being a metal fan, and I am also a fan of metal.
Oh,
And I'm
yes,
wondering
yes.
if you have this experience where it's like you meet someone and they're like, yeah, I love Pantera. And you're like, well, that's
Yeah.
not really what I meant when I said I like metal. And so it's like, you should be using your interest to find your tribe,
Yeah.
but your specific kink, as it were, makes the potential tribe pool even smaller. Is that like, does that make sense? Can you relate
Yes.
to that at all?
No, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned on the podcast, everybody who was listen, I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm a big metal fan. I also watch other types of films that are just not only pink films. So I could talk to anybody about anything because I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of person. But at the same time, it's also fun being kind of niche. But we also found our tribe in a way. We found other movie fans who kind of enjoy these films as well. And that's also great because it's like I think it's kind of fun to be a little bit more selective instead of just being like everybody's gonna love pink film because not everybody is gonna love pink film.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You don't have to love it. If you're curious and watch a few, then that's great, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have
And then
any of that going on, Dakota?
yes.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I guess like I always think of it's kind of like code switching too. It's like obviously like with teaching, I like or even like the arts in
Yeah.
general. It's like I'm not going to be like, "Oh my God, like this is what I watch too."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey kids, I'm like, no.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, it's like because our kids, like, when we work with students, like students will find out, oh, what's your background, or find your Instagram. Then they find your letterbox,
Wow.
and they will ask you, "What's this film?" And then I'm like, "What film are you talking about?"
Wow. What's Groper Train Unrelenting Fingers Professional Baseball Edition? What's that all about?
Yeah,
rolls off the tongue.
it just
Yeah.
yeah. They're like, "Is that what I think it is?" I'm like, whatever you think it is, it's probably not. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just like, at the same time, it's fun to kind of watch these films and then have people kind of question. They're like,
Yeah.
what is it? What's going on?
But also like shout out to it's like I think like Discord, especially like the group, or
Mhm.
like just people on Letterboxd in general, like even the ones who don't watch Pink film necessarily, like who watch horror or like collect Blu-ray in general, like those are kind of people I want to talk to
Yeah.
more. Like those are kind of like the best connections, I guess, from like the app, like Letterboxd. Because
Hmm.
sometimes like I'm like, oh, like we definitely like artists in general are kind of pretentious too, like in our own lives. So
For
it's like I
sure.
kind of like talking to film fans more.
Yes. Yeah, we both get along with more film people because for a good shout out is like a friend from Letterbox, John Peters. Like starting
Hell
talking
yeah.
to him. Oh, so if you know John Peters, yeah, we chat mostly about wrestling on Instagram. We just like talk shit about
Fuck yeah.
wrestling. And we talk about like other things, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I watched this. Like, I watched the Groper train. This one Groper train." I'm like, I just put my hand like, I'm like, why? I'm
Yeah.
like, they're not, that one wasn't good or this and that. And he goes, oh, I just want to ride the train. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I vibe more with like, I guess film people more, or just metal, or anybody that's not associated with the arts too much. Cause I think, like Dakota said, we just, artists tend to be very pretentious, very like snobby. Like, I only watch Criterion, I watch this
Mhm.
or watch that. I'm like, that's great. But I'm like,
Or
fuck
they don't
Criterion.
watch movies at all.
Yeah, they don't watch movies at all.
Yeah. I don't own a
Hmm.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm too busy making art. And I'm like, well, you want to see some good art? I'll put on a Woman in a Box from Kanuma.
God. So I will say I have not seen that one, but I
You've
have
heard.
seen the Lifetime version that you
Oh,
guys were
Oh,
talking
Girl
about.
Box.
oh,
Yes,
that
because
was
that
not good. That was not good.
don't remember a whole lot about it,
Yeah.
but I do love watching that type of shit
Oh,
often and thoroughly.
yeah, Lifetime, when they hit it, they hit a home run with those life stories. It's great. Other times it's just like, what the fuck what just happened? Just like, where was the budget? Where was the script?
Yeah, one I will suggest to you guys, don't look up anything about the plot. I hope you like it, but it's called Gospel of Deceit. I don't know if it's an actual Lifetime movie, but Lifetime movie is kind of a catch-all at this point.
Is it to be original?
I want to say it's probably a little bit before that.
It's
Okay.
before Tubi. Yeah, it's 2006.
Yeah,
Okay.
so wow, it's older than I thought it was, but it is fucking wild.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
we're always down to see stupid, like crazy, nonsensical, like retellings that just don't make sense.
Okay, this
Yeah.
looks great. Okay, after this.
You guys should watch it, but it's funny because like I started, becoming aware of you because you're into like these weird, subversive, transgressive films, which I have not had a whole lot of experience. But one thing we do have in common is all three of us seem to love these like sort of suburban white mom horror.
Yes, yes.
Which is like, so I mostly am enmeshed in the horror community. They could not give a fuck less about any of that because they're like, oh, there's no gore or tits or whatever. I'm like, it's still fun.
Yeah.
You might see something even crazier in like Stalked by My Doctor 3 than you will in Friday the 13th or whatever.
I mean, that whole like series alone, let's just stop and appreciate Eric fucking Roberts. That series, perfection.
So
perfection.
Reboot it.
Reboot it, bring him back even older and crazier. That's all I want.
God. Put that on the big screen.
No, I want like some Blu-rays or something of it. Like I want like a box set from Vinegar Syndrome with bonus DV everything.
You want him to do an audio commentary?
I want an audio commentary that just like rambles and just
has nothing to do with the movie.
I will cry. I will do anything for that. That would be amazing.
God, Douglas Campbell, what an auteur.
Right?
He is.
It's like the same thing. Like especially we liked from the 2000s. We watched all of them. David Dakota's 1313, which is absolute trash but amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's and I was joking with Dakota. I'm like, those are technically like American Pink films. They're softcore. They don't show anything. They're made for, and I put in quotations, straight women, but it's really made for gay men. And they're ridiculous. And we need more of that. We need more David Dakota out there.
So I haven't watched any of those, but I've heard you say that. Like, I mean, I know who he is.
Yes, because he was also in horror.
Yeah. So, and like, in what way? I'm curious. What way was that for? Ostensibly for straight women? Because I look at the covers, and I'm like, this is obviously just like
it's
Abercrombie
and Fitch.
Oh yes, exactly.
So they're made for like, because the director is obviously gay. He made these films because he was like, oh, I'm going to make them for women who desire like, these young kind of twinky guys or twunks. I would say twunks.
Yeah.
And then when you watch it and you're like, it's just a cover for him to just, make these movies for like, gay men.
Or himself.
For himself. Because I'm like, I was like, I know he's probably tried to sleep with some of these guys, or he was
Tried and
professional,
succeeded
Yeah.
probably more than a
or he
few
was
times.
professional and said, you know what, I could help you get, into
You're a
Hollywood.
star.
You're a star. But you know
God.
what? We love David Coe because those films are all trash but great. But then also Puppet Master was great.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, I know that at least some of the 1313 films were filmed at Charles Band's Italian
Yes.
castle.
Yes.
So,
And then it was
Legacy.
funny thing is like, oh, it survived the fires here in LA when we had the big fires in January.
thank God.
Because I was like telling Dakota, go one day we just got to go and just like take a picture of it, post it. Don't even say what we're doing. Just see if any real like like film fans of on Instagram who know us, like, do they know where we're at right now? In front of the building,
Immediately unfollow everyone that
Right.
doesn't.
Block.
So another thing I wanted to ask you guys is that it seems up until fairly recently, pink films are not really something that Westerners have really cared about. And to give a bit of a background on my experience with them, I looked at a giant list of pink films on Letterboxd, probably put together by you two. And
Dakota.
I filtered it by watched, and I have seen 3, including this film. So
Done.
yeah, one I saw about 18 years ago, Entrails of a Virgin.
Yes.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, it was released under the Tartan Asia Extreme banner. So it was not situated in its proper context as part of a genre distinct from horror in general. It was kind of just like look how sexually weird Japanese horror films are. And the other one I've seen about 7 years ago was Muscle. And
Ooh.
again, there really wasn't much discourse about that film in the West at that point. So I had no context. And then 7 days ago, I watched Groper Sucking Train. So
you've seen a breadth of stuff so far.
yeah. And one of the things you guys had mentioned on your show at some point is like, why are all these straight boys watching Muscle?
Thank you.
And not
thank you
like-
for bringing it up.
Yeah, not like in a bad or shitty way, but just more on like a, that's weird. It was 7 years ago. I wish I could tell you. I think possibly the description on Letterboxd at the time maybe sold it as a different movie than it actually is. And I think also like, having my experience with Japanese genre cinema and seeing like a lot of times they contain a weird scene of sexual assault. I think there is a part of me that's like, it makes me angry because ostensibly like that's supposed to appeal to me as a straight man. So I think maybe watching something like Muscle is like, well, let's take that out of the equation because they're not trying to like cater to me sexually in a way that is very off-putting. It's like it was made for a different audience, even though, as I found out later, it was made by a straight guy. So that makes it a little bit different. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know why so many of our straight boys watch Muscle, but
No complaints.
No. I think what it is, like, it's just a genuine question because it's like when you watch it, it's very, it's very gay, right? It's very homosexual. There's a lot going on.
totally.
But at the same time, I think it's also kind of transcends that because the director himself,
Absolutely.
he's like, I've noticed just anybody mostly straight love this director, regardless if he makes gay, lesbian, or straight. And I think like when I'll start questioning people, I'll be like, if it's a straight guy watching more gay pink films after Muscle, then I'll be like, what's going on here? But no,
Yeah.
I think it's great that like, especially a film like Muscle gets watched by anybody, and I think anybody could vibe with it because it is like it's a love story. It's a fucking toxic love story, but
Super sad, super
Yeah.
Japanese.
yeah, pretty.
Just another day.
I mean, I have like a film list on my letterbox I call just sad gays because a lot of films I've seen that are not pink films, they're just sad. And every gay guy, I was like, is every gay guy sad? And then I go, no, mostly Japan and France. Those are
Oh
two
my
places.
God. Be proud.
Yeah. I mean, that must be kind of exhausting. I imagine it would be the same as like if you are Jewish and every representation is about the Holocaust, or like if you're black, every movie is about slavery or whatever. It must be like exhausting to just always see your fucking trauma on screen anytime you're depicted.
What? Look at the Academy Awards. What movies get awards is trauma, like war. And then if you're African American, it's like you're playing a stereotype. If you're like Chicano or Mexican American, films that do get nominated have to do with stereotypes, like you're a day laborer or you're a maid or something like that. It's like, and also same thing like with like movies about like the white struggle, like, oh, white trash, right? It's like all the stereotypes. Those no, and it's like you see that too. And I think with pink film, they kind of play off a little bit of like some fun stereotypes and playing off of with censors too.
I think Salo 2 with Muscles is like really subversive. I mean, it's probably still my favorite of the gay pink film genre, but like what it does with it to see men against other men, right?
Yeah.
It's also their sense of longing that like you could see it as sad, but I also see it as kind of like really poetic and like almost happy and messed up.
Yeah.
It kind of sings too as a movie, but also like there's a lot of gay pink film that like, again, it's fun to see like men get fine with other men, but sometimes they're just dramas too. Like they're kind of wholesome, or like they're about like marriage too, or like hopes and dreams, like let's be dads, right? They're not all as crazy as Muscle, which probably makes it kind of even more like rewarding, right? Like Sato is like to me like the ultimate outsider with pink film, where like he comes from comedies, like he was doing Groper trains in the 80s, like as an assistant director, but then he does like his weird stuff once he starts directing.
Yeah, I mean that one I was super surprised by, because I was like, this is a film. Like this is cinema. And so it was one of those things I think I originally watched it because I just somehow found it during one of my weird deep dives of like, oh, super obscure shit. And it met at this nexus of like, I'm not Japanese, I'm not gay, and I'm not part of the BDSM community. So probably I'm not the one to talk.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not the one to talk about it, but I'm going to tell everyone to watch it.
Yeah.
Was kind of the thing. And yeah, it's fucking good. I haven't sought out any of his other films. Probably should, I would imagine. You know, it's not a fluke, right?
No. He has some great ones. Even like the lower tier ones of Sato are still pretty good compared to other pink films that are from other directors, or in that kind of era that he was making films. Like there's Lolita Vibrator Torture that's really amazing and fucked up at the same time.
Normal titles.
Yeah. I mean, I had problems with it because like it was more about the photography issue. I was like, how the fuck this girl get a solo show just after, immediately, and she never had any experience. That was my only concern about that movie.
Wow. It's gotta be a Nepo baby.
Yeah, right.
What's so also funny though is like when you said the name Lolita Vibrator Torture, I'm like, ah, yes, a name that looms large in the genre.
Yeah, some of the titles in pink film, independent, big studio, they just loved having these. The translations are probably a little different, but like just the American, it just sounds crazy. Like, oh, they had to change sometimes when they had like the word rape in them, so they changed the sex. So it's like we were talking about this. I think
the impulse titles would take rape out. Yeah,
totally different things.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you see the Jollos. Jollos have different titles. They have 20 different titles because they've been translated, distributed different. Sometimes, like especially the impulse titles, they change a lot of the titles because there's some words that somehow can't there. But then they keep other stuff like ass finger or something, or what was the other one? It was assy finger.
Even in Japan, they'll change titles too. So like we're talking about a Groper train. So like Groper or like molester, like even Japanese streaming doesn't want to use the word molester. So they'll censor out some of the kanji script on it. So like then you're having to figure out like how it gets cut up, and like they place a dot instead of the character on their streaming. Or even too, like in terms of like other titles, they don't want to use masturbation in a title. So they use onani.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
So you're like, what does anything mean?
Yeah, so I mean, I used the little Google phone app on the Laserdisc, and it says molester pacifier train. I feel like neither that nor Groper sucking train is really getting at the heart of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. You just kind of go in and just see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully feel some fingers like that.
I guess you just buy one ticket to, to heaven or something, I was gonna say.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, I don't think I brought this up. I have been sort of circling you guys unbeknownst to you for the past couple of months. It was just like a happy accident of like a few months ago when I was recording an episode of the show, one of my good friends, George, was like, I follow someone on Letterboxd that's trying to watch every Pink film in existence. And I was just like, that's not possible. That's not going to happen. And then I heard Dakota on another wonderful podcast, Split Your Head by Bob McCulley. And then like within days, I see Dakota Newt has joined the Discord. So it's like something
ominous.
Yeah, something out in the universe was like, you have got to talk about this Groper train movie. So
and
nothing important about that, but I just thought I'd bring it up.
That's cool. It's so like, oh my God.
Well, so I mean, one of the things is like, I have all this stuff. It's like, and I think about on this show, like who would like this and who could speak about it in an engaging way. And it's like, I know by myself, I really can't because I don't really know anything about this. So I've had this laser disc for a year. And then suddenly it's like the stars align and
the trains like change course.
Yeah.
No, they finally like locked and the guys like
we meet up like strangers on a Groper train.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it usually happens, right?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple months ago, I think it was for the same episode for my friend George that mentioned you guys. I was reading a book by Tom Mez. I don't know if either of you are familiar with him. It's a book / dissertation on V cinema. He talked a lot about something that I've really been thinking about a lot since then. And just to like distill it down to its basics is the formation of a film canon, which is to say what we culturally think of as great or important movies, is to a large extent controlled by a series of gatekeepers, whether that be studios, theaters, distributors, or I mean, even just critics and tastemakers. And like what these gatekeepers choose to expose audiences to frames and creates the canon in a sense. And so with more of these films seeing modern official releases in the West, what is your guys' take on the quote unquote canon that is being formed by which films labels are choosing to release?
Oh,
that's good. Okay.
That's a good question. And that's a little tricky because I don't want to go off too much and get in trouble for saying certain things. So I'm gonna let Dakota go into that.
For sure. I'll also say I am total. If you say something and you think better of it later, I will cut it out.
I don't think you think it's gonna be crazy.
No, it's not like no. I've gotten in trouble before, but then at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Leave it in.
Oh my God, you're fine. I mean, it's interesting. I think Impulse actually had a really great selection from like Impulse under Synapse with their titles that they chose. Some were definitely kind of random, but it was always like cool to see. If someone was like tracking those down and like that's their primer of like Nikatsu or like even just Pink film in general, great, right? But two, it's like, I guess like as we kept going, like we kind of came at a great point where like Impulse had died off, like they were not putting out more titles, right? But also like we started watching a couple of years ago before like even like 88 got in or like the recent, I guess like Melocene teasing their releases too. So like it would seem like the interest had just was like dead and it was just going to be like online and we're all just going to like, okay, if we want to watch something that like we're just using auto subs. But like we kind of discovered through like, okay, Japan, like Nikatsu is still restoring their films left and right? And also Nikatsu has a weird idea of like their own canon as well, like kind of what they find interesting. Sometimes like I want stuff like from their archive that they're not putting out. Like, oh, there's like slashers from their archive, like the late 80s that aren't the entrails, right? So it's like, I want more of that. Like I told Jasper, I'm like, oh my God, you should ask for this title. Like do this one. like save it from the VHS.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you frame it that way because in this book, the example he uses is like, the president of Dai was like kind of baffled by like why people even like Rashomon. He was like, this movie's incomprehensible, but then it won, I want to say it was called like the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. And then so suddenly it's like, oh, this is what Japanese film is. And it has an effect on the audience for Japanese film abroad, as well as like the talent in Japan creating films. So it is interesting that you bring up like, oh, what Nikatsu thinks is like their good shit is actually like, I don't care about that. I care about this.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would kind of go into say that like, yeah, when you see the films from 88, films being released, they're kind of like the early 70s. They're the kind of like the nicer, earlier kind of melodramas of Nikatsu. And that's great. And I think those are wonderful and everybody should watch them because the restorations they do on them are really beautiful. But Dakota and I tend to like the more later violent Pink era.
Yes.
And because it has more of like, it's not just about like quote unquote sexual assault. It's just their stories are more interesting. The kind of plots get
They're
more
cheaper,
darker,
more surreal, more violent too. I think like Sato comes out of that, right? Like for me, like Pink film was like the best in the late 80s into the early 90s. It also seems like too, it's like certain labels, like I guess in the West, it's like I don't know if they're necessarily testing like what's the best choice even for them. Because right, like Chris and I are fans. Like we watch like horror releases by these Blu-ray labels that aren't like what they're teasing. Like, okay, obviously like Deaf Crocodile is going to keep it classy. They did an inflatable sex doll, The Wastelands, like the 60s Pink film. But like TerrorVision probably shouldn't test out Pink film by doing Gushing Prayer, which is also kind of a classier film. They should do something horror and weird, right? Or also 88 too. It's like some of it's a mix. Like some of them are bangers. Like Kanuma's Girl Hell is a great film. Like you could love horror, like erotica, Euro horror, and vibe with that. But like some of the stuff too is a little bit more like I guess academic, like Swedish porno. Like that's kind of a weird sell for people, and you have to be interested in like, oh, why did Takatsu film white people, right? Like
and like we go back when we did the first episode and we talked about Apartment Wife. That one is like, I get that. That's very important.
But people also like that film that watched it, even from the 88 crowd. So obviously that must have connected somehow.
Yeah, and it's an okay film. It's not like one of their best because again, it's the first two films that were first like the first Roman porno. But like we're talking about like there's some later 70s ones that are really good. And then of course, like when they get into kind of our favorite era, which is the Roman X period, which is the late 80s, mid 80s to late 80s, where stuff just gets scuzzier. It's shot on video. There's some like more experimentation that's happening with like videos, right? Like shot on video. And it's just so much more interesting. The director's just like, you know what? We're going to go guns blazing and hope for the best, right? And that's when, like, I think Pink film also gets more interesting, and it kind of after Roman porno dies, and then it goes into independent and all the other, and then some of those actors become directors, or they become their own like the production company. It's just more interesting that way. So
also,
I want to
like,
see, Go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna think too. It's like the Weissers, like or who are before Jasper. Sometimes they were limited because they came from the VHS era of like what was available to them. And even Jasper, when writing the book, like there's more that got available like since he wrote that, or even is updating it, right? So like we're seeing kind of like more weirder stuff, more vast stuff too that like maybe he didn't have access to. But then also he had access to stuff from like Laserdisc that like almost just got lost, right? Like he's done weird stuff from that. I kind of wish too, it's like Jasper is like also I'm really like shout out, thank you for writing me on too, but like he's kind of more respectable of like what he likes. Like he's not going to be necessarily like overall more unhinged or more violent.
Right.
He'll write about and talk about it, but that's not his personal taste. I think too, it's like obviously with the upcoming Melocene line, like stay tuned on that. But like it doesn't seem like from the licensing side that they're super aware that like they're going to release like the releases of the year from like people are going to freak out, but the label doesn't realize that. They're not quite aware of that. So I'll find that fascinating, but people are going to like flip out like once they get announced, like it's going to dwarf every Pink film release ever, like in the West.
Strong words.
Yeah.
Oh no, trust us. We just like there's stuff is coming that people are not ready to like.
But I think on their end, it's going to force them to like suddenly start licensing more. Like they're having their deal. I'm shocked that the elements are there even. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. So yeah, I think that'll change. Like give it a wait. I think their first ones are going to announce are going to be in August. So it's like, give it a week and like people are going to flip.
They'll probably be announced by the time this comes out. So look forward to that, guys. But I mean, that is like a whole different dimension to like when we talk about like this forming of the canon is that distributors are limited by what the studios will do. Cause I have talked to distributors over here in America and it's just like, good fucking luck doing anything with these Japanese studios. Yeah. They either don't want to do it or they charge an arm and a leg. So I realize that limits it a little bit. It's another thing, when you're saying you sort of like the later, sleazier things, that definitely resonates with me because one thing that I love that you guys shout out constantly is Giallo in Venice, which also falls into that like later, sleazier, let's take the genre to its logical conclusion. Like, this shit is not artistic. It's fucking gross. And we're going to do it as gross as we can. Love that movie.
No, it's like when we saw, there's a film that I always, when we did one of the episodes and we kind of give a shout out to, I think it was Sex Apartments. I'm like, Sex Apartments for Nikatsu was a Roman porno that was very Giallo. It's like exactly like a Giallo. It's insane. It's unhinged. And I said it kind of reminded me of Giallo in Venice. And that like, it's just so like, you're constantly like, what the fuck am I seeing? And it's great. It's beautiful. It has one of the beautiful endings in all of Nikatsu. This Roman porno of like this girl just like in a box full of flames and she's like making out with these two lovers who could be the killers, and it's gorgeous, right? It's just gorgeous. It is, as one does, but
yeah, I mean, I will say like even like one of the things that is like, I guess, extra textual about Giallo in Venice that I fucking love is like we all think of the heyday of Giallo being like the 70s, and it was released on December 31st, 1979. So it's like, this is the fucking nail in the coffin for this. But, I mean, do you guys feel like the releases that have come out or are to come, do you think Americans or the Anglosphere are getting a good representation of what Pink films have to offer, or are there still like subsections where you're like, I really wish, maybe they do a box set of this?
Ooh. Yeah, I think it's just a starting point. I don't think it's a good representation for me personally, because there's some releases that are safe to release, like comedies. There's sex comedies that could be released. There's some great sex comedies of the Pink genre that could be released, and people could vibe with those easily. Like anybody could watch it and just be like, oh, this is really fun. And it's not like a melodrama or it's not too scuzzy. And then there's some films that we think box sets would just be better for, instead of just doing like a one release. Like a box set of just like, how you see it with, I think it's Vinegar Syndrome does the Forgotten Jolly.
Yeah.
I think there should be boxes of like kind of like one-offs of Pink film that are just, they wouldn't do good on their own, but as a box set,
Forgotten Gropers.
Yes, they could. Yes, they could. Because there's some Groper trains that could just be box set together that are just great on their own, like great together.
There's over like 200 Groper trains.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
fuck you, Amityville Horror.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't care.
Keep coming.
Well, one thing that, so I'm like pretty into like a very narrow set of V cinema. It's called Age of Confusion V cinema. And part of that was like when these studios like Toei, they were putting out direct to video films, is like they were unsure about how long movies should be. So they do share that in common with Pink films, because I see that most of them are like 60 minutes long. This one was like 57 minutes long. I was curious if that's like, if there are particular reasons for that, or if it's like, as you guys talk about a lot on your show, these were shown in like triple or double features, is that like a function of like the scheduling at theaters? Like, what's the reason that these are only 60 minutes long?
Yeah, honestly, I guess it goes back to just like early softcore in general as 60-minute lengths. Also, even a lot of like American softcore exploitation also follows that 60-minute, right? It's very odd when something breaks that too. I think of like Star David Beauty Hunting, which is like Unhinged from Nakatsu, is more of an hour and a half, or like G-Cat. If it's like that, then they would do like a special double bill of like 2 hour-and-a-half long films. But yeah, typically they're triple billed. Sometimes also you could get like a quadruple bill too. Like, why not? Let's survive.
I'm fucking drained of all fluids.
Yeah, pretty
what the
fuck? Keep going.
Yeah. And so since, as I talked about, I did sort of get into this genre in an oblique, weird way where the three that I've seen are nothing alike. I'm curious if there's like a short list you guys have of films you would pick to get a normie or someone who is otherwise unfamiliar with Pink films to get them into the genre.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dakota have some of we have a similar list, but we have like different films that we like and think that would be good for like most, audiences that are not necessarily familiar with Pink film, but for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think of a Groper chain title too, since it already has been licensed and subtitled before, like on DVD.
Wow.
It's probably also one of the best. So it's Sexy Time Trip Ninjas, right? It says it's time travel, period piece. They go forward to the future. Like that's an easy one. Or something like S&M Hunter. So you're getting a taste of like bondage from the independence. I wish that like a Sachi Hamano film, like some of her better ones are more available. Cause it's kind of fun. Like because she's a woman, she almost convinces like the women who are from adult video to go like harder. And they have like more glam, more hair, but then they also get kind of nastier too. I wish like one of those was available.
And I'll add to that. Sachi Amano knows how she has the best sound production because you can hear the kisses and how like wet and sounds are, especially when it comes to penetration in these films with Sachi, because they just
and she loves cum shots.
She loves cum shots.
What a poet.
So I haven't seen one of those in the three films I've watched. What does a Pink film? Well, there could have been one in Entrails of a Virgin. It's been so long since I've seen it. But what does a Pink film cum shot consist of? Because 9 times out of 10, all of this is simulated, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It just looks like, like any kind of even like sometimes in gay porn, I would say like you don't really see a lot of like the actual, they squirt it out, right? They just kind of like looks like Pantene Pro V or something, just like poop.
Flour and water.
Yeah, it's just literally
there's too much liquid, right?
It's very wet.
Also, the way they blow someone too is like typically they're putting like the hands together to the crotch and then pretending to lick it, like as they're like almost like sucking it like a straw from the palm or something. It doesn't make any sense how they blow people. You're like, what? This one, even though it's supposed to be like sucking or pacifier, I was surprised they didn't do more with the blowing. But maybe it's because also too, it's like we watched kind of the more conservative Pink film studio. And more of a director who was just kind of like quick buck off of Pink.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of Okuraega before. I've never crossed paths with them. Are they solely like a Pink film studio? Or did they make other sorts of movies?
I mean, when they started out, they would try to do other movies, right? So again, like they kind of formed from the ashes of Shintoho. So like Shintoho, I think of Jigoku from the Criterion Collection, goes bankrupt in 1961. So the president of that forms Akura Aiga, and then a former employee of Shintoho kept the Shintoho name, but then did a Pink film studio side. So you get these two different Pink film studios that kind of compete. Shintoho is really kind of known for like, they released a lot of the Sato titles in the 80s. So they're more like wild, absurd, violent, weird. Akura is kind of more of like conventional in a sense. Like they do Pink film, but even like the early output, like they were like importing some Jess Franco films. They imported Roger Corman. So it wasn't always sexual content. It's just that Pink film made them the most money. So they kept going with it.
Makes complete sense.
Keep writing.
Yep. Yeah, so switching gears a little bit. One of the barriers of getting people into these movies is just how fucking difficult it is to watch a lot of them.
Yes.
And there has been a lot of discussion on a Discord that we are mutually a part of about sharing of AI subs, whether or not that is a good thing. And so as someone that is like, if I would consider myself anything, I would consider myself an amateur archivist. Like, I don't really consider myself a film critic. I don't consider myself an expert on any particular subgenre of films, sort of, jack of all trades, master of none. But I am one of the people that seeks these things out, digitizes them, and subtitles them. And my perspective has just been like, I mean, this movie's a perfect example. This is never like, will this get a 4K release? Fuck no.
No.
Will anyone take the time to do a legitimate subtitling of it? No.
No.
So it's like, I'm putting out there the best thing that I can for the people that may not be technically literate enough to watch it any other way. I mean, and on the flip side, people are like, well, don't share those because then people will think this movie, quote unquote, has subs, and then no one will put effort into subbing it. And I'm kind of like, well, they weren't going to anyway.
No.
I'm kind of curious what you guys make of that.
Wow. I mean, that's such an interesting thing to bring up. I always like when we got into Pink Film, right? It's like there was such limitations of like, okay, Impulse was licensing. Yeah. Most of the stuff was never going to get unlicensed. You would hope, like when watching Pink Film, that someone had fan subbed it, even with the AI as it took off. Like you would hope, right? Yeah. I think that as we got more into it, like when we watch something on Japanese streaming, like through like Fanza, like you have to use like a Google AI sub to comprehend it a little bit. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, like, you could still find like a plot description. It's really rare when you get like a Pink Film that like there's nothing online, like there's not a poster or anything. Weirdly enough, this is one that like I don't think anyone in Japan has like watched it since the original release. So we were going in like really blind, but also too, it's like it's crazy. Like this director, it's like he kind of came from more normal film, and also he was old at this point. Like he was born in something like 1916, and then in the 70s and 80s, like this dude was like, hey, like we're making so much film, like want to do these titles. He had no passion for these movies. Probably not.
And it shows. I think it shows.
I think it's serviceable. There's worse ones from this studio by like directors that the studio liked more. Like, I think of like a Kinya Ogawa, like a Satoru Kobayashi. Like, they're probably like 20 years younger than this guy, but their films are kind of worse too. But yeah, you're right. Like, no one's ever going to subtitle this or like most Pink Film. And you could think about like, well, one, there's probably not the elements. It's sometimes lucky in Japan if like something got archived, if it's in like the National Film Archive of Japan, does the studio still have it? But also stuff like this, it's like, no one's going to care that much. Like you're hoping that someone even watches it. Like there's something raw to go off of. But I mean, I think for other things like V Cinema or sometimes too, like stuff that's longer, it's definitely like the quality of the subs maybe is more of a discussion because Pink Film is so loose on narrative and like short. You can really just vibe.
I guess that's true. I mean, what do you think, Chris?
I know, I agree. I mean, I've seen where like if we find something because we find stuff and then because I do the VHS to DVD or like VHS to digital transfer, and then when we talk about like, oh, we saw this, saw that, we learn our lesson by not saying, oh, we found it, we digitized it, and then people will message us and be like, oh, can you send the link? Can you send the link? Or can you like, or where'd you find this? Where'd you find this? And did you sub it? And then it's like, no, we didn't sub it. And then they just have a meltdown from Letterbox. There's some people that are like, they just complained because they weren't subtitled. And they're like, how? And they rated the film low because they just could not watch it and just understand what's happening.
The complex plot of Groper sucking train.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, and I think it's a complex thing. And of course, it's not going to get, most of these films are not going to get titled. And that's okay as long as, I mean, I'm glad that there's actual like stuff out there that you can actually find and watch in some way. Like if it's a DVD or if it's a VHS or it's a what is it, Laserdisc or something or 8mm, there's ways to digitize it. It just, it's going to take some time to figure it out, but you can do it. And it's great that it actually somebody found it, especially like this film. When Dakota said, "Oh, you have this film," and I was like, "What?"
But also, like, even the studio, like Akuriga, does not care about like
Yeah.
this film or like the
Right.
director. Only one of his movies is on streaming. So like I watched a Groper Pervert Train after this. So Akuriga is not like, hey, we're gonna reissue this guy's films. Like the other Groper trains he did, you're lucky if like they're on VHS or
Hmm.
Laserdisc. Like they're not popping these out. So like it's
Yeah.
up to like someone like you or even anyone who's curious to like get it, collect it if they're curious. And also it might not even be good.
That's usually the case,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's like okay, so some most of the time it's misses, but
Hmm.
who was the person that did Muscle for the first time?
Oh
And then
yeah.
like
Yeah.
got their shitty fan sub was what got people interested in it. And
Hmm.
then since the first time I've watched it on like a fucking deep fried MPEG 2, like,
Oh.
yeah, it was 7 years ago. It looked like
Yeah.
shit. I think it now has like at least a DVD release
Hmm.
that's probably a little better. So it's like, you know,
It
just
builds.
yeah, do what you can.
Hmm. But there's also like we recently saw when we did our recent episode about Mary O, who was a dominatrix. We watched one of her films. It was a more of an adult film, but it looked so crunchy, but it actually added to the film itself, or like the movie, or whatever, because it was probably shot on video, and the transfer they did was just like really bad, or it just kind of
Mm,
deteriorated because probably like it aged, but it
yeah.
added nice flair to it. I thought when we watched it, it's like, oh, I love the grungier. Like if they ever get restored or something, they should just keep it like this because I think it would add to like like do it like having Saturn's core kind of just like keep it that restoration, just make it look grungy or just make
Yeah.
it look it grungier.
Yeah. Leave that shit out in the sun for a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could buy it for $40.
So, one of the things you guys have talked about on your show is the Sakan series.
Oh
And
my
you're
God.
what is that?
Oh, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess like I'll quickly throw it out.
Yeah.
So there are three unhinged trilogy, like the unhinged trilogy of kind of like BDSM. Like it's pretty much like almost like adult video, but not. So there's a lot of enema scenes, a lot of like public humiliation. The first one too, it's kind of more of a pseudonym of like a guy where he pretend like four different guys on the crew pretended to be this like BDSM mastermind. They made the first film. We vibed at the second one too, which was like supposedly directed by the dominatrix Mary I. Then we found our third one finally, but it kind of like helped launch Roman X. Like, oh, let's show shot on video, like this adult video in theaters. Like it doesn't always have to be like a theatrical film. It's not the
Hmm.
norm for pink film to do that. We were always on the quest because like I felt like it was briefly on streaming in Japan, but then got taken down like on an official like a Unext like the streaming site. Then
God.
also like even the Laserdisc sold out one week, and then the VHS did too. Yeah, I think it was funny. I think like the person we bought it from is also on Letterboxd. So I'm like, okay, good, we reciprocated.
Yeah, I just
Awesome.
I just remember like Dakota like waking up at 4 a.m. and he goes, I go, what? Because I hear somebody clicking or typing, and I go, what's going on? And then he's like, we found the Sakan. We found the third Sakan.
When I wasn't collecting the Groper trains.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, where's the guy? He goes, oh, UK. And I'm like, and he told me some letterbox like reviewer that we follow. He's like, he told us like, hey, it's on eBay UK. And Dakota's like really quick, got it. And he goes, we got it. And I was like, a tear
Wow.
came down in my eye a little bit. But at the same time, when we finally watched it, it was kind of a little letdown.
Yeah. God. You hate
But
that.
no, but at the same time, it's like all three films are an endurance test of how much you can watch people just go through like really extreme BDSM. It's not for the faint of heart, and if you're not into seeing women get like just violated and
But
just
then it's
like,
also like
but it's
women on
consent.
women
It's
too,
but
and
it's
it's
consent.
consensual. I
It's
think
very
that's make the lines
consensual.
crazy. Like it's like
Yeah,
a woman in charge with her sadistic like subordinates, and then it's also women as her sex workers. Like they're all consenting to this fantasy and kind of going harder with it.
it
Like the stuff
just
they do is strange.
Yeah.
Just another day.
Yeah, and so that is like, I would venture to say, like, you've mentioned the third Sakan on
like a lot.
We cried a little bit.
As of the recording of this episode, your episode on the third Sakan was yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
No, it was a couple days ago, right?
Or yesterday, I don't know. One of those.
Yeah, who knows?
The enema came out.
Time is a flat circle, as they say.
The bananas came out. I think that was fine.
So now that you have this, and unfortunately, it was a bit disappointing. I have a question: is what is your new holy grail? And this is a two-parter that I didn't think of earlier. Is like, what's your holy grail? One that's like London After Midnight, like probably never will be found. And then what is your holy grail? Like, it's out there. It's just waiting to be watched. It's waiting to pop up on Yahoo auctions.
So I think I'll let one of them I know Dakota would know. It's a Tawny one.
Oh, okay. That could be also like another London After Midnight one. I mean, for sure it's in Nikatsu's archives, but it's the one Tawny film that they've never put out on like streaming or VHS. It's Lesbian World Ecstasy. So it's her in a bit part doing a lesbian role that's not BDSM. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the holy grail that I don't think, it probably would never come out. That's that one. And I think the ones that we kind of know that are out there, we just have to, hopefully somebody will have it somewhere, is the last type of, I would say for me is the last Roman X, the ones that we need to complete, right, Dakota? Or
there's three, the Roman X, so like they're all like shot on video, like played in theaters, right? They're probably not going to be great. One was like a retitled kind of adult video thing too, but they're always going to pop up on VHS. I mean, also I'm thinking too, it's like, okay, something like obscure that I know like a lot of Pink film fans would be like, oh my gosh, about is like there's the Lost Sato titles. So like if you look at his letterbox, like the ones that no one has watched, right? The ones from like, I think it's like 89, 90, 91. They're released for XS, which is a Pink film distributor, but because like XS was still like in its infancy, where like it came from Nikatsu and they played in Nikatsu theaters, Nikatsu has the archives of those films. So it'd be a weird licensing where like you'd be buying probably like the elements from Nikatsu, but then working out the license with XS. Like that's the reason like we're not watching those titles right now.
Yeah, that's pretty not surprising to me that there's like some weird thing going on with rights, but I'm like, I wonder what is that? Is it like respectability? Like these aren't the types of films we want to be known for these days. What is that? It seems like these Japanese studios just fucking love to not make money off of things that they put out 40 years ago. What the fuck
no
is
one else
that?
is asking.
Yeah, I think it's just nobody's asking, to be honest. I think that's what it comes down to.
I mean even setting Pink to the side, it's like Toho notoriously is like, no, we're not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What's wrong with you guys?
Sometimes I don't think they realize the interest too, like in the West, or like what someone would vibe with, like, oh, like why you're asking, or like, oh, you could sell this. Like the Sato stuff too, it comes from an era where like Nikatsu's Roman porno line was dead, so they haven't really reclaimed like, oh, the excess weirdness of like where it tried to take off. So it's like they're not trying to embrace it, but then Nikatsu's embraced some wackadoodle stuff from their history recently. Like they've reclaimed like the 60s, like pre-Roman porno, like, or it's our pre-Roman porno classics, or even like the weirdest stuff they put out is probably like they did a whole home video line that kind of precedes like them and getting to the 90s, more of like the V Cinema OVs, where it's more adult video in the 80s. So they call it like live shooting or raw shooting. Nikatsu's like, let's put these out now.
Yeah, and sometimes when we watch them, there's some great, interesting 30-minute like shorts. Like, wow, this is really cool. It's very surreal. It's this. Other times, it's like, what the fuck did we just watch? It's like the most. It's like boring sex for 30 minutes, and I'm like, ooh.
So
no trains.
It's no more trains. But
what is your guys' next obsession? Once you've seen every Pink film, once it's all said and done, you've ridden every train there is to ride. What is it? Is there a light at the end of this Pink tunnel?
No. I was like,
Oh my
no.
God.
I think I think for me, and this is just it's more of just because of my taste and what I studied as in art school is like I'm trying to see like as much films about photography and not just like, the photo documentaries, more of like movies that talk about photography or they have
Mm,
like a one of the a camera is a character, right? Like they use this because so far I was just finding like there's actually 100 films about a haunted camera, which I kind of got obsessed with, like kind of going through.
wow.
And then I was like,
I
okay,
love
for
that.
yeah, I was like, what kind of camera? Like, is it a Polaroid? Is it a box camera? Is it a 35 millimeter? And I'm like, is it a haunted image? Like, I was obsessively trying to find all of these. And then I found out that half of them were TV show episodes using the word camera obscura. And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, camera obscura. And then I found horror films about like photography, which they're not all good except for one called Shutter from Thailand. The
Yeah, I've
Taiwan,
seen
yeah.
that.
That one is probably the best I've seen. And then the remake in America was a piece of shit with
Haven't
Josh.
seen that, but I believe it.
You
Hot
would
takes.
like you would hate it. You would hate it. You would sit in like this is just trash. It's like what they did with The Ring, like kind of the American version where they made it with that blue filter and all that, like all that stuff from the 2000s, that really bad blue filter. I see your eyes right now. You're like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about. The 2000s blue filter."
Can I
Yeah,
admit to you guys that I've never seen the Japanese Ring?
that's fair.
I mean, hot take, I don't like it. So, yeah.
Well, so
On the rewatch, I didn't like it either.
I am not into really like the quote unquote classic J horror
Right.
just because simply I don't really like ghost movies.
Okay.
That's mostly what they are.
Right.
So I was just like, Naomi Watts, she's cool. I don't see a reason to see the other ones, although I recently learned that Hiroyuki Sanada is in Japanese one, and I'm like, oh, he's cool too. Maybe I should watch that.
That's your hook.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we talked about this in our episodes too. There's some Nikatsu or pink films that are based in horror. And then you could see like how the influence of these pink films went into these like shot on video from the 80s and 90s, and then J horror kind of comes through. And then you see some of the directors and writers behind pink film go into horror films in Japan in the 90s, 2000s. So the big like it's like the connection of that is really fascinating. And we talked about like we wish more horror films or horror fans, the horror fans you're listening, you can get to some of these pink films. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
But then some people just can't they can handle like blood and gore, but they can't handle tits and ass and this soft core kind of like
Yeah.
erotica, but violence, which is very fascinating to me. So that's just me. What about you, Dakota?
Wow, I'm trying to think of this. I'm like, okay, wait, what was the first question?
So it's basically Chris has camera movies.
Yes.
What's your next obsession once you've seen every pink film? Is
Oh
it some
God.
Eastern European subgenre of softcore that no one knows about yet, or what is
It's like
it?
more Jess Franco.
More Des Franco. Oh no, I'm trying to think. Honestly, if I was going off, I feel like I've always wanted to watch more V cinema. Like I'm always kind of limited in terms of like if I watch V cinema, it's like usually because like someone from Pink Film was in it or like the
Mm,
director went off. For two, also like I feel like Japanese adult video would be fascinating. Like it's generally just weird in the
Hmm
80s and 90s. Also, like they embraced weird stuff like scat. I'm like, wow.
Oh, scat. But those are the films we also like watching as far as like in pink film that are just random, weird, surreal. And then there's like the comedies that I love, like just absolutely insane comedies that are just so funny, ridiculous, absurd. Like one of my favorites is a Genki Clinic. It's kind of about a superhero who goes to a sex clinic to help him with his premature ejaculation.
It's also a manga adaptation, so it's like a rare
ah,
one. It had like a DVD back in the 2000s as
God,
well.
those
Yeah,
manga and anime fans, they'll fucking buy up every copy in existence.
here.
What's up? Are you hungry? Sorry,
Oh,
I think a cat is hungry again. Did you feed him?
yeah, I did. Oh my God,
Oh.
he's fed on cinema.
Yes, he is fed up. He watches. We have like his tower next to the TV, so when we're watching these, he's just like sitting there vibing. He's like, what is going on?
Ah, yes. Sato-san.
Yeah. Well, actually, we named our cat's named after.
Yeah. Fuck
Kanuma.
Everything we've been talking about. You guys got a kitten.
I know.
Let's talk about that.
No, his name is Kanuma after the director Masasu Kanuma.
Beautiful.
From Pink Film.
Love it.
So, but
I've got 4 cats.
Oh
my god!
Plus 2 outside ones that came with the house. Love those fuckers. And so with that, we will begin our pivot into discussing this film. And you guys have not that long ago done a deep dive on your show into the Groper Train series. So again, just what the hell is a Groper Train movie?
Oh my god.
Dakota, go ahead and answer, because I didn't know either, and then Dakota had to educate me on this.
Yeah, I mean, Groper Train, like in Japan, like this is one of like the most successful Pink Film titles. Like it's infamous. Also, they're released typically on like a triple bill for like a holiday. So you're like, wow, it's Christmas. Let's see a Groper Train. Let's see 3 of them at once.
Wow.
Right? So I'm like, yeah, also they started in 1975. It slowly kind of gathers steam. It's really kind of an 82 that really takes off. Like both Shintoho, the Shinto's the main one who does it. We're watching one from Akira Aiga who's like, oh, let's dabble into this too. They didn't do as much. But like this guy, apparently it's like, I wasn't super aware of him before just based off the availability of the films, but like he did 15 in total, which I mean, wow, 15 Groper Trains, iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned Amityville Horror earlier. Is this one of those ones that's like, does Shintoho also call theirs Groper Train, where it's like not actually a franchise, but is in a way?
I would say it's a big franchise because it started in the 70s, and then it just continues until I think believe Dakota, you could correct me. You told me that the last Groper Train that ever happened was before the pandemic.
2020, like COVID, and also like a lawsuit where like, oh, why didn't you release the movie? Kind of derailed it.
Yep. So this is a dead format because they are no longer making Groper Train movies.
Bring back the classics.
Are there any of these that you guys would suggest to a general audience that is like dipping their toes into the weirder side of cinema? Or is this like just for sickos only?
No, there's some great ones that are just absolutely fun. They're just fun to watch. They're just ridiculous.
I mean, they're mostly comedies. I guess that's also the weird thing about this. It's like this one, I'm like, okay, it's kind of comedic, but not fully funny.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a drama, but also not really like a melodrama. I was like, oh, this is kind of light, but not really doing any one thing. I guess like Yojiro Takeda, like we talked about Sexy Time Trip Ninjas or like what Groper Train, Wedding Capriccio. He typically does like detectives. Also then the one time travel one, like his are like, he's the madman who like in the 80s, like the young guy coming in, takes off, does like all these great, amazing Groper Train where he just uses the loose structure of it. And it's like, why not throw my mainstream ambitions into this movie?
Yeah, this movie... It's a little bit of an interesting artifact. So it's like, I would say what I'm interested in is obscure shit. So I look for stuff online. I will literally look through thousands of listings on auction sites. And when I see something that I don't see documented, I get it, which is how I got this like a year ago. And as you were talking about, like this director, literally, I think us three watching this film are the only legitimate logs of this guy's films on Letterboxd. Like whenever you get to these sorts of films, like there's always one person who says they've seen it, but they also have like, oh, I watched 30,000 movies this year. So it's
who doesn't?
Okay, it's a bot account. It's crazy. Like some of these films came out within our lifetimes, but they've just completely disappeared into the ether, which I find very interesting. And I saw one of his films on Letterboxd, sex documentary, peek at Japan's private parts, Japan's first infrared movie. And that popped out to me because like that's totally my shit. I'm thinking this is like some experimental gimmick film, like 3D or something. But Chris, since you're a photographer, you were actually talking on one of your episodes about what infrared film is in relation to erotic content in Japan. So fill us in on that a little bit.
Yeah, so infrared, or like I think what they're trying to say is like it's just infrared could be like when they flip it's God, it's hard to really get into. My brain is kind of fried from like other stuff. So
yeah, I think you were talking about like in relation to cruising spots, people would bring.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because there was a photographer in Japan who was a famous it's like a famous photographer who would go and use infrared film at night to photograph just cruising spots, and they were like straight couples, and he would use infrared flash. So it's like it's not like a normal flash you would think like in like a camera phone or any kind of like it goes off, but it's infrared, so you won't see it. But then it on the image it comes out, and it looks really bright, and it comes out like very like black and white. It's kind of harsh. It takes away a lot of the red pigment too, so everything kind of looks like kind of really ghostly, and then your eyes look more like pale black. So it's very ghostly, which is interesting. And the series that I was talking about is all these couples are just hooking up in these oh, hold on. I have a guest in front of me.
Oh.
Hold on.
Okay,
Beautiful.
this film is crazy, so I'm trying to look up the kanji script for it. I can't find a matching like listing for the Japanese side. Also, something that kind of uses parts of it too might be from a different director. I'm now curious, like who kind of created the listing, like for this film, like that one,
Yeah.
infrared one. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like who is it real? TBD, TBD.
Certainly. And it's like, as you're describing it, Chris, that does not like I can't jack off to that. Like fucking weird
You'll
people
try,
with
but...
black eyes, like continuing the theme of non-consent by just like photographing people on the down low.
I think what's interesting, because I'm trying to see, so 72, and then that photographer, I think that photographer was around the same time. So I guess maybe there was some kind of influence, or something was like they saw it in mainstream and mainstream news, and like, oh, let's make a film about it. So that could be the possible like connection, because I don't know more about that.
There's
Which is
also
kind of,
early 60s like pink film, also like a late, like kind of late 60s, early 70s outside of Nikatsu that really kind of looks at like underground, like blue movies. So I think of like Kemukai. Sometimes they use like secret like filming techniques, like Flesh Futon
yes.
like has a scene with like a hidden camera as well. So they're kind of like they're doing it kind of sometimes in a more goofy way. They're not like Sato where it's like, oh, like someone's recording something weird and telecommunicating and psychically doing it. They're more like, oh, we're peeking through the hole.
You just said, I'm just overloaded by all the things you just said. I heard blue films and Flesh Futon, and
love that.
I just, what the fuck?
Just casual words.
So I will say, like, as you can tell from how many pink films I've actually seen, which is 3, it's not something that I'm specifically interested in just yet, although maybe you two have changed my mind with our discussion thus far. So, you know, it's like I lost the plot. I have no idea what I was just saying.
Yeah, love it. They lost the plot too.
I mean, yeah, the same thing with this like Groper train. All we know it's this couple who like to. They're a couple who like they grope people at the same time, so they can go. It's like very bi, right? They're very bisexual, but at the same time, we think it's just for pleasure, but they're actually doing for pickpocketing.
Yeah,
they're pickpockers.
Yeah.
And when they go and they do it, and then like the people who they're kind of groping and molesting, they don't know what's going on. They're like turned on and also kind of creeped out, but at the same time, they're just mostly turned on.
Yeah, so the movie begins with a couple arriving in Tokyo, I believe. It's the AI subtitles were not great. They say that they've been in Osaka for the last year. The couple is Shuzo, played by Yuichi Minato, and I feel like his partner in crime is Junko. Is that right?
Okay, I think you're right.
And is she played by Masami Sakae? I wasn't sure.
She either plays that girl or she's the friend. I was kind of confused on the women in this, like who is who.
Yes.
It's hard also because their looks aren't super distinct too. Like I wouldn't say like, oh my gosh, like these are like iconic pink film. I mean, they are like prolific, but they're not like the ones that like speak to me too. Like their looks aren't
Right.
super distinct.
But Yuichi Minato is kind
He's
of,
very distinct, yeah.
yeah. You guys were telling me a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like at this point too, it's like he's kind of like a legendary pervert. I think probably like in 82 or 83, he kind of leaned into his image of like, oh, I'm like the villain, like the rapist, the sadist. Like he put out like a photo book, a song about rape too. Like he kind of leaned into it. Plus, like he was older at this point. I think he's probably like 50. But like as the years go on, like he gets larger, sleazier, more perverted in the film roles,
Well,
which is
is
funny.
that larger from like a role perspective or like
Oh,
a physical?
physical. Both.
Yeah, so you guys had mentioned that he had a music career. I want to say he did like a duet with someone named Asuka Urano.
She's also a pink film actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't translate it, but it's mostly like her singing and him like talking, saying what I assume are lewd things at her.
It's very like kind of almost like forcing him like himself on her too, but they just kind of leaned into it. I mean, yeah, definitely like great media to track down. Please translate.
It was funny because I saw it on YouTube. Every comment was like, "Oh, I heard this on NHK radio," which I don't have like a complete grasp on, but I feel like it's kind of like PBS in Japan.
So historical.
So yeah. I think he lends to like maybe this has a little bit of pedigree. I will also say, let me grab the laser disc real quick.
It rode away.
Oh. Yeah. So it says volume 7. Is that in reference to this was the 7th film Okuraiga put out, or is this the 7th Groper train film by this director, or do you not really have a feel for that?
It'd probably be the 7th from the studio. I was trying to see. So like Akura, I think their first Groper train is from 82. And then like this director, I think he would probably be kind of newer to it. I think he starts doing them in 83, like this same year, right? So Shintoho's is interesting. Like Shintoho, the rival studio, they also do weird numberings. Sometimes they also throw in ones out of order as well. They also get more confusing because like early Shintoho, like from like the late 70s, early 80s, they weren't dabbling like in their own adult, like their home video line. So like Nakatsu actually like bought some of them up. And then those are the most craziest posters because they're all like the Shintoho ones that got bought by Nakatsu that we have like maybe 2 of. They have all cartoon style, so like these like big breasts, goofy faces. It almost looks like a summer family vacation. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like an 80s teen sex comedy type
right,
thing.
Like, whoo!
Yeah, this was another like, well, there's at least 6 other ones that I have to find. Like,
oh my God, if they're available.
You would assume. But I wonder if you guys can fill me in. Were they kind of like, was Okuraiga like kind of low budget? Because one of the things I associate with Japanese physical media is like even shit no one's ever heard of is like kind of deluxe by American standards. The sleeve for this has that feel of like recycled paper, which I'm like, that's super weird. So that made me kind of think, is like, are they like, I don't know, are they like the low budget of pink films?
Yeah, we're trashing the studio, yeah. Yeah, honestly too, like this is very economically made for sure. Like the film itself, I guess from what I could figure out, so like this director was not only older, he had came from like working from like documentaries like with Daiei, and also he was an 80 at Nakatsu, like early in like the 30s and 40s. Right?
God damn.
So he kind of came in this for like the money aspect too. Like there's no soul like passion for like this film. And it's even Akura like riffing on Shintoho, like, oh, let's do it. But then also not doing the things that work the best from that, right? Like they're not more absurd. They're kind of toned down. I mean, in terms of like releases, like the VHSs that we have, typically they're the VHSs are probably like the best in terms of like at least they'll have like pictures, a little bit more text. The taglines are usually insane. Like you're talking about like the laser disc where it's so bare bones. That's kind of actually sad because like then
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
there's no information on this film. Like there's no poster available like on any like the poster websites. There's nothing like no one's ever seen this rescreened. Like the latest I could see from like this director like getting rescreened in a pink film theater was like 1990. Like no one's
Damn.
actively rescreening it. There's no Japanese reviewers. Like even the ones like I know review pink film, they've never mentioned this guy. So we're like going in like blind on this.
Mhm.
Crazy.
Like wow.
Yeah, so after we're introduced to like two of the quote unquote main characters, there's a man at the station. He doesn't speak to them, but he seems keenly interested in their arrival. And meanwhile, another train passes by. In this train is Natsuko, played by Aoi Nanjo. Right? Right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right.
And you better believe she's being groped. She's
Oh.
not that into it until she turns around and is like, "Oh, this guy's hot." So I'm into it now.
I mean, there
Lots of thoughts.
because again, a lot of the scenes, like most of this film, it blurs everything for me. So I'm probably gonna remember most of it and not remember anything because it's just like it went like it was very like it just got on and got off. Literally. I mean, there was a scene where one of this guys, I correct me if I'm wrong, there was a guy who was like, I think he was like, I'm gay, I'm gay. And then the girl was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna touch you anyway. I love it. And then the guy comes from behind, I guess the boyfriend or the husband or
Mhm.
wherever he is. And it just to me it was just funny because he's like, oh no, no, and then he's groping him from behind. She's doing it from the front. And then I was like, oh, okay, so they're just a couple who
The
likes to
couple
grope.
that gropes together.
And then
Yeah.
they stay together. And because you see them at home and then being all like pervy and slutty with each other and like just at home.
Yeah.
But then it's like after a while you're like I was sitting there like what else is supposed to happen?
So one thing you guys have talked about on your show is like, I want to say it was live filming. Is
Live
that
shooting.
live shooting? Does that mean like sort of guerrilla style, like we're doing it in public? Because that's kind of the impression I got from the groping scenes in this movie. If I'm off base, let me know. But
No.
No, I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, the live thing or like raw shooting, it was Nikatsu teasing like adult video. So it's more of like, oh, it's real sex. So crazy. Even if it wasn't too, it's kind of fun. Also like this, like Groper Train's great because like they're usually guerrilla style. So like the best ones like show like the audience on the train also reacting or not reacting
Yeah.
too. I
There's a lot of Groper trains where they're just do you know wrestling, Chris?
a little bit.
Oh, so you know the term no sell, right?
Yes.
These people are not selling any kind of there's no reactions. It's just blank, and then it's just like they get closer, and then you see the groping, and the people are just like reading their newspaper. They're just
Wow.
like just there, and which is really funny because I'm like I would be reacting to what's happening next
For
to me.
sure. And this is something I did bring up on a recent episode is that a lot of Americans, a lot of weebs like to idealize Japan as a country and a culture. All I have to say is like maybe watch this and see that as you're glorifying some of the things they do right, there are things that they also do wrong because it's a country made up of people in which people get groped on trains and no one says shit.
But I think also too, there's some I think with Dakota we see remember there one Groper train that it was kind of much later where they're kind of spoofing. It was kind of very meta where they're talking about the person who had like the ghost of different like Groper eras.
Well, there was one with the Grim Reaper on
Yeah,
the
Grim
Groper
Reaper.
train
That's
where
the one.
like, okay, the Grim Reaper is like, hey, these like souls lost on the train. You have to help this virgin like otaku find love and like then you can move on to the next plane.
But
Wow.
in that movie at the same time, I think it's where they show like behind the scenes of how they made Groper Train, where it's like they show like it's in a studio where you see like the train and it's all set. It's all a set. and then you're like, but is it real? Is it
But
like,
that's
because I'm
also the 2000s one too. So it's like
yeah,
it's just kind of different era. I mean, the best like 70s, 80s it's more punk, right? So like Sato's great with that with his like one that he actually directs like his Groper
yeah,
train. Sachi, the female director, is also
yeah,
great. We're like, okay, we're gonna throw people on the train, pull
and
back,
just
see reactions. The weirdest are probably like the darkest. So like there's the guy like Shuji Kataoka who does Groper trains, but then he goes like he does some for Nakatsu, like the Subway serial rape series. Like the
yes.
weirdest of that is like he has scenes where like they're attacking people on the train and like the guys are like going after and attacking this woman. But then the best bit is like that we pan to the audience, like these Japanese people just watching and they don't do anything. They're
Mhm.
like looking the other way, like they're scared. Like you see like kind of like the culture of Japan where like they don't want to speak
Hmm.
up or react.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Fucking
mean,
Horrifying
crazy.
stuff.
I mean, in this film too, it's like people are getting groped and nobody's
But it's
scared.
kind of consensual in this movie,
Yes.
or at least like no one's saying like no one's saying no, no one's resisting. Everyone just seems like they're horny all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And on that note, as she's being groped, she says she'd rather be in a bed. The man walks off.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
masturbates in the train bathroom.
As one should, as
You
one
can't
should,
make
right?
it home.
If you're so horned up, you just have to go to a public restroom and just get off.
Just rub one out, girlfriend.
Right?
I'm surprised she didn't look at some pictures or anything or have more fun with it. Or then
Well,
some guy comes in too. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, because we've seen other films where like if she's masturbating, somebody's gonna just come in and start like doing her. It's just that's how crazy some of these other train films could be. But this one, she just happened to do it herself.
Hey, it's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I
Quick
mean,
and
yeah,
easy.
quick and easy.
Yeah. Sex is good, but it's not the real thing, right?
Yeah, apparently. But
So she meets her friend, who I believe is named Sayuri, and I believe she's played by Mare Matsumoto.
Hmm.
Hard to tell.
Yes. I'm sure.
And they meet in a park, and she tells her about her Groper train experience, and her friend says she wants to try it too, and that Natsuko can watch. They board another train. Sayuri gets a man to grope her.
Beautiful.
yeah,
And this is, I think it was Chris that was talking about this earlier. The guy that she convinces to grope her at one point kind of looks off to the side and he's like, don't look.
yes.
And I was like, is he talking to like a real person that's really like doing his voyeur thing and watching these people grope on a train? Is that what we're led to believe?
I mean, it could also be like something added in postscript. So like even though like okay, these Pink films are typically recorded like without sound and like redubbed
Yeah.
too. So again, like it could be kind of an aside. I think the guy in this is Kaoru Yamashima. I was trying to figure that out. Like he's tilting his head, but also he's kind of like a goofier, boyish looking actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me,
Yeah.
like I think of him like he doesn't quite look like a pervert. Weirdly, he does a lot of drag a lot in like the gay Pink films too, which is kind of rando. But yeah, like it's like they always like throw these asides in, or I wonder too if like they're just trying to make sense of the scene that happened. Like you're going off
Yeah.
script.
It's just him yes anding.
Yeah, improv. Okay, get groping.
And so afterwards, Sayuri explains that a year ago, she had gone to a love hotel with that man, I think, and Natsuko wishes that she had a time machine so that she could go back in time and watch them at the love motel. And Natsuko asks Sayuri if Sayuri will introduce her to Shozu and Junko. And Sayuri's like, I don't want to see them, but I'll show you where their apartment is. I guess.
It's so by the way. Like
Super fucking weird. And then, of course, we get a scene of Shozu and Junko on a train groping a reluctant salary man. And this was, Chris, you brought this up earlier. I mean, you guys have more context for this. He just kept saying, I don't like women.
Yeah.
Was the implication, I guess you were saying he's gay or at least bi because he doesn't seem to mind when Shuzo starts grinding on him?
Well, because you have a guy, he had the other guy
Yeah.
behind him, like kind of like, oh, he's getting groped. So he's getting it from both sides in a way. So it kind of felt more bisexual, just more than just like, oh, he's completely gay. Because if the guy was doing it by himself, I'd be, oh, that's awesome too, because it become a different kind of pink film. But then the girl's like, but again, I told this to Dakota too when we watched it. I'm like, she looks kind of butch with that haircut. So
It's
he
just the
could,
80s.
no, but like
Yeah.
she could be like, oh, it kind of looks like a guy, so why not?
Wow.
Again,
Shots fired.
I was just kind of making things like kind of just go with it as we watched the movie because so I was just kind of like zoning out at sometimes of this movie
There
too.
is weird bisexuality that happens in like straight pink films. So like one of the actors in this, Yutaka
Okay.
Ikejima, like him and Ryuji Yamamoto, who's kind of more known for like adult video. So like when they're in a Groper train together, weirdly enough, like they do multiple where they like still sometimes like kiss or make out. Even in one movie where like they play father and son, but then make out at the
Oh
end.
yeah,
God.
it's just for shock value, hopefully.
I mean, does that kind of like play into the thing we were talking about earlier where it's like a lot of non-consensual scenes end up turning into consensual? Is it like, do you think a character like this guy is truly gay, or is that sort of just like part and parcel to the genre? It's like, I'm not into this, but okay, now I'm going with it. Now I am into this.
Yeah, pretty much.
He
It's
needs
kind
to
of
work, you know?
I think that's a lot of in like pink film too, because there's this, I don't want to say intentional bisexuality, but it's like it just sometimes there happens as in the Groper trains too. There's just this like, oh, okay, they just go with it and they vibe with it. I think it's just mostly vibes, and sometimes it's like for play for comedy, and other times it's mostly play for like they're just horny.
Yeah, I would say ultimately this one is supposed to be played for comedy, maybe
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
Shozu and Juko are using groping as a way to pickpocket this guy, but unfortunately for them, he was prepared for this and he, I guess, gave them a fake wallet, is what I took from
Yeah,
that.
he did.
Like, oh, just a paper. Like, what is this?
I thought it was his phone number. He's like, call me, come back for some more. I don't
Oh,
know.
And so after this, Natsuko introduces herself to Shuzo and Junko, and they agree to take her on as a pickpocketing apprentice. And kind of the rest of the movie just sort of plays out as a series of train gropings with a
just like life.
yeah, with what I guess is supposed to be like a shock twist ending, but it's like I don't really give a fuck about this, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like the guy on the train platform at the very beginning, he was someone's husband, is what it was, right? Or am I
Was it?
completely misinterpreting that?
He could be because a lot of these suits, like typically it's like a salaryman's on the train and like they're
Mhm.
married at home. Sometimes they'll address the wife. Sometimes the wife can catch the guy. Or sometimes it's also like, okay, you have this whole secret life where you're cheating or like groping girls on the train that I don't know about. I mean, I also,
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite scenes in this was actually like the good one. I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. It was like the movie theater one. So like
Oh,
the pink film is playing, and then it's like it's a young couple off the side. Yuichi Minato is like kind of starts groping the girl, but then he just kind of like, oh, I'll let them do it.
yeah. It was like the Jalo and Venice scene when
Oh
they're in the movie
God.
theater. When
Yeah.
they're in the
It's
movie
just
theater, where they're just
close up
like,
of that Italian
yeah,
dude's greasy fucking
yeah,
dick.
that
Show
probably
us the
wasn't real.
cut.
Yeah.
It was probably not even real, but that scene alone, because it just felt, I was like, oh, that reminds me of the scene. And it goes, oh, yeah, I see it. But then it's like, again, it's like they just went with vibes. They're like, oh, this guy's going to be here and watch. Okay, cool. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
nobody questioned anything. It wasn't like forceful either. As again, we talked about consent. And we always
Hmm.
talk about consent in our podcast because like sometimes peak film, there's no consent. They just go
Yeah.
in raw. This one seemed like everybody was down to clown.
It's a fraught subject in Japanese cinema,
Oh
to
my
say the
God.
least. But yeah, I had actually completely forgotten about that scene until you guys just mentioned it because it is just so off to the side and unrelated to anything else that happens.
Yeah.
I mean the name of this is Groper, sucking train.
Mm-hmm.
So that really comes up in basically one scene, I think,
Mm-hmm.
where Natsuko takes one of her marks. I wasn't sure if it was like a special car on the train or if she had just designed her apartment to look like a train. I really.
Oh, yes. Yes. We were all kind of like, Dakota and I were just like, wait, what? Does she just like her room looked like
It
it
has
was
all the
good.
train handles on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, that part's great. I will say, like, as far as like eroticism goes, like, I don't think this did anything for me.
Where
I
Yeah.
mean, I can imagine like going to somebody's house and they're like, "Hey, my fantasies of like pretending to get groped on a train, but in my room." That would be like, "What?"
I have
You're
to.
like, you're gonna. I'm gonna exit the chat now.
Okay, there might be a reason for that. So the
Okay.
director
Go
before
off.
this movie popped out a different movie like earlier in 83 called Mobile Hotel Molester Car.
Oh my God.
So maybe a similar premise.
Reusing sets just like David Dakota.
Good to go.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's like, what is there really to this movie? Couple
Just
gropes,
skip over.
Couple ghosts
simulated.
per minute.
I think because again, like with most groper trains, like it usually starts off in a train scene. There's a grope, and then we see some other gropes, but then it just goes off like the rails and just goes into other things. There always end up at a house, office. Like they're not always on the train, which is like kind of surprising
But
to
they were
me.
on the train a lot here.
This one,
Like
yes,
surprisingly, they were on it pretty frequently.
Yeah. I would venture to say 75% of this
yeah.
is on a train. If
Hmm.
we're saying that, I guess it depends on whether or not that's her apartment or a train car.
We're still
It
on the
could
train right now.
it could be a train car. It's
Yeah.
like the fancy, like when you go traveling on Amtrak and you pay the money for the nice like bed and the
Beautiful.
shower. That's this right here. It's like
Oh my God.
There is like a sex scene between Shuzo and Junko where he just keeps like, I love your fingers or something like that. I
That's the
don't
best
know.
compliment.
Yeah. I mean, how does this guy or how does this movie how did it hit you as people that have seen many a Groper train? I feel like Dakota, I think you put it on the bottom of your
Oh, I need to re-rank it. Okay, it's
Groper train
okay.
ranked. So it's
Oh
like, oh
God.
God, is
No,
this
it's not the worst.
It's not the worst.
I forgot to rank it. I'm good. We'll edit that later.
I mean, I'll say this: it's like it's a decent one. It's not like it's mid, as the kids would say. It's very mid.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I like the premise because of the couple being pickpockets and then all the other stuff. There were some
Mhm.
nice, interesting scenes, but the rest of it, it just was like, what? And the sex scene, the actual sex scenes that they had were just kind of boring. They're just
Yeah.
bland. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Like, it's hard to do vanilla sex in a movie where you can't show anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how could it be exciting?
I mean, we've seen a lot of these, like I said, the live shooting, and then some of the Roman X, the Hanbans. It's pretty much like really boring sex. So this was not like an exception, but it just was like, it didn't need that. I liked the stuff on the train was actually more interesting and fun. And in the movie scene, the theater scene where they're in the theater, like that was fun too. If we had a little bit more of that kind of stuff, I think it would probably have been a little higher. Maybe a 3.5.
Oh my God.
On Letterbox, but yeah, what do you think, Dakota?
I mean, it's pretty solid in a sense of like, there's ones that kind of annoy me more as well. Like, one, you're seeing like what Akur Aiga did. I never thought I would see like something that's like early within their Groper train cycles. I've seen more of like their 90s that are kind of like even cheaper and worse than this. I mean, the sex is kind of boring for sure, but like one, I'm like, okay, despite the laser disc quality, I
Mhm.
was like, okay, it looks nice. We can see with the people. There's a sense of lighting. We definitely seen grimier transfers from like the VHS side. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, obviously this director is like competent in quotes, right? He's not interested necessarily in like the genre. I did like though, so like the guy that the scene where like the room has like the handles on it too. The actor
Hmm.
is pretty notable for like Pink Film, Yutaka Ikejima. So like he's just started acting kind of probably like a year or so before this. He acted for Shuji Terayama's theater troupe, but then went into Pink Film, love that move. But yeah, he became well known. Like he could be like a handsome, but he could also be like really kind of like gropey, pervy. He also loves like old age makeup as like the 80s went on. So he'll do like really goofy, unhinged
Hmm.
characters too.
Yeah, I
But
don't
not
know what.
here.
Not here.
He's just really baby faced. I was like, oh, you're kind of wholesomely groping.
I didn't know what to make of this. And one thing you were saying that kind of reminded me of something else is that a lot of times, like, yes, this is a laser disc, but it actually is not laser disc quality. The picture quality is quite poor, unfortunately. I don't know the process. I believe maybe telecine. I've heard it called black boxing. A lot of times they would play the film and record it to video. And so this is like not a good looking film because it's not like Vinegar Syndrome or one of these modern restoration houses that will take a picture of it frame by frame. It is like pretty odd looking for a laser disc. And combined with the packaging, it's like clearly they did not give a shit about this, but they thought they could make some money off of it, I guess.
And you bought it many years
Yeah.
later.
They
I would
tricked you.
say they were wrong that they could make money off of it because I have not seen a copy for this come up for sale before or since.
Ooh.
So as far as I know, this is the only one that survives. Who knows? Would I ride the Groper train again? I don't know. I mean, if this is all it has to offer, probably not. But you guys did a whole episode reading out Groper train titles, and as I called out earlier, Unrelenting Fingers Professional Baseball Edition. That sounds interesting to me. I guess what is there a Mount Rushmore of
Of
Groper
Gropers.
trains of
Yes.
Gropers? Yeah.
Yes.
What
There's
is
some
that?
Dakota would know because like there's one of that we both love. That's like that Weekend in Bernie's one.
Oh
Oh, okay.
man.
Yeah.
It's unhinged in a good way.
It's the one like we want someone to kind of figure out how to like rip and make accessible. It's called Groper Train. I like the inside. So it's from 89. Already know you're gonna
Ah.
get the best here. Also, there's not much actually on the train. You have this perverted couple, like they're into bondage, enemas, like casual stuff, right? Public humiliation, masturbating on the train, masturbating at the bar, like lots of
Mhm.
bonding. The wife dies by like choking on the enema, like the scat of it. And then like the husband's like trying to pretend, oh, Weekend at Bernie style, like that the body's like, oh my God, she's fine. But then like the friends like discover like, oh my God. And then they have to hide the body and it goes into more hijinks.
It's unhinged and ridiculous in a good way. It's fun. Like I said, yeah, it has everything. So it's like bondage, scat,
A ghost.
a ghost,
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe
woods.
that's the food pyramid of Japanese erotic cinema.
Ghosts.
Ghosts,
No,
scat,
and that, yeah.
necrophilia.
Casual stuff. Yeah. Cooking 101.
Yeah, I would say like Sexy Time Trip Ninjas is another great one because that's really accessible. You can get that, you can find that. And that's really just a fun, just really fun, kooky, crazy train one.
Yeah.
It has time travel, it has ninjas, sex on the train, anything more than you want.
Yeah, I mean, the title alone, it just sounds like a fucking tokusatsu, like Super Sentai,
Hmm.
more than it does like an erotic film. So that's definitely interesting to me.
Yeah,
But
what other one, Dakota, would you say too? Some other ones like besides those
Ooh,
two?
I mean, I guess like Sato's, I forget, I'm blanking on the name of it, but like Sato's Groper Train is probably like the
Mm.
more serious, like art house one too. There's also one by like one of the other four Heavenly Kings of Pink, Takahisa Zizi. It's called Groper Train Mischievous Wives. It's
Oh
another more
yeah.
kind of like surreal one. If you want something that's more of like the rare, like surreal collage artsy side, that's not just like comedies, those would probably be great.
Yeah.
And that's why I had you guys on the show, because you both know just so goddamn much about.
Or too much.
Too much. They all blur together
too many fingers.
I'm sure that's the subtitle to one of these Groper Train movies. Groper Train, too many fingers.
Or not enough.
Not enough.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more to say about this one. Like, were there any scenes you wanted to call out, or is there anything we missed? I feel like we really got to the bottom of this.
Those are the great scenes we just mentioned before, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fuck yeah. So that was Groper sucking train. I'm sorry.
Get the auto translate right.
Yeah. I mean, molester pacifier seems way more aggressive, so who knows? But thank you guys for coming on and breathing life into this dead format with me. It's been so fun talking to people, like I said, who know just so much about this esoteric genre of films. So sincerely, thank you guys for coming on and donating your time.
You're fine.
But yeah, tell the fine folks out there where they can find you guys. Anything you've got in the works, anything you want people to know about.
Oh, Dakota, you should plug because you have some good stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, I guess like I wrote 2 essay booklets that are in the works. I'm not quite sure when they're coming out. Like if it's going to be the next fall title too, just like TBD. I'm hoping it's the August one. hoping, but if not, I think like the first one's definitely sometime in the fall. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's unhinged. It's, one of my favorite categories, BDSM. Love that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I think we also we are going to do an exhibition coming up in August that's going to be inspired by Pink films. So
Polaroids.
It's a Polaroid set of us doing kind of reenactments of Pink films.
Wow.
Some are going to be on the train.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Hopefully good.
I also want to say, Dakota, you did an essay for a release of Tokyo Emmanuel. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I started listening. Whenever I listen to a podcast, I will listen to it from beginning to end. And I remember listening to you guys, and I was like, these are the people that these boutique labels should be approaching to write essays and do commentaries for them. And it's really nice to see that come full circle of like thinking that, listening to your first episodes and then seeing it come to fruition on your most recent episodes. So I can't remember which label put that out.
Oh, 88 Films. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. 88 Films. Everyone go fucking buy that and support a really cool independent podcast of just 2 cool people doing cool things.
Keep groping.
I mean, that's got to be kind of surreal, right?
Yeah, honestly, like I guess like both of us kind of come from the perspective like we're just kind of fans. I never thought that there would be like a new wave of like interest or Pink film too. It seemed like that kind of died.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wow, it was better than the laser disc.
I mean, my hope and for down the road, like if some of our favorite Pink films get released, I will hope that we get chosen to at least do the commentary, because I think it would be so much fun to do a commentary on, like, for example, I would love to do a commentary on Woman in a Box if it ever gets re-released, because I think we would have so much fun just talking about it and ripping and just doing jokes, because I think when you watch DVD or Blu-rays that come out and you see the commentary, they're so boring, they're so bland, and I feel like some of us who are like, we know, we've seen a lot of these films, we can really say a lot and vibe with it and have fun with it. And I think people would be like, oh my God, I enjoyed listening to you guys like watching the film, because maybe the film will be too much for them to watch. And then having us just talk over it could be really soothing. You know, it's like chamomile tea, you know?
Wow.
Groper Train ASMR.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, go choo choo.
Beep beep.
But yeah. Obviously Dakota and Chris, they fucking rule. Go listen to their podcast. If you live in California, in the general area, go see the things that they're doing out there. And go listen to Bob McCulley's podcast, because that's how I heard about them. So yeah, just support these people out there talking about things no one else talks about.
Also, like, go and like follow John Peters on Letterboxd. His reviews are amazing too.
Yeah,
Like
do that too.
He's another guy too. It's like, go read his stuff because he's also really in depth with his reviews.
For sure. So yeah, if you guys don't have anything else,
to plug, no.
Thanks for listening. Keep on groping.
Keep on groping.
This has been Dead Formats. If you have any questions about the show, or if you have a dead format topic that you'd like to hear me cover, or if you have any suggestions for potential guests, please reach out. You can email me at deadformatspod@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at deadformatspod. Thanks for listening.